Yeah, of course.
Hello, it's Andrew Eborn here with another Lives on Lockdown. And on the phone, I've got Ed Hood. How are you doing, Ed?
I am struggling on, sir. It's been a long haul. It takes a lot longer than sort of 14-day thing. I've had it, I think, probably since mid-February. I am completely locked down, despite rules being relaxed, whatever, because I'm not going to take any risks with anybody else. I think I may have caught it in Greece, not sure. And if not, it was just locally in the shop, because somebody here is where I live in Sussex has the problem.
And you're down in Sussex at the moment, are you?
I'm sorry?
You're down in Sussex at the moment, are you?
I'm in West Sussex, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And talk.
So yes, it's been exhausting, and the symptoms that they are put up on the TV are fairly random, because some people get aches and pains, I don't, and some people get headaches or conjunctivitis or whatever it happens to be. It's a very strange virus. Very strange. You think you're recovering, which I did, and then all of a sudden, it's like the baseball bat comes out again, and then whack.
And how far back was this? When do you remember first having symptoms?
I remember coming back from, I went to go and see a friend in Greece in mid-February, and I just remember coming up the stairs, very short walk, with weedy hand luggage, and suddenly feeling breathless and looking for a bench, which is just ridiculous. So that's when I first started feeling ill.
How long ago was that?
Where are we now? 1st of June.
We're 1st of June. How long ago was that?
That was mid-February.
Mid-February?
When I came back.
Good heavens.
Yeah, I was just, when I got off the plane, I felt weak as just pathetic. I need to sit down, just with hand luggage, walking up 2 flights of very short stairs, like 10 steps and then 10 steps. That was it. So yeah, it's peculiar. It's not like having flu, which I rarely get. I haven't had it for years. It's not like having a cold. It's just very peculiar.
And it seems
most people, and others get insomnia. Yeah. I have insomnia from it.
Right. I know, because I know, because you text me throughout the night, and it is extraordinary, because a lot of people say 7 days and you're done, but no. You're saying all the way since February.
I have the short answer to that is, from what I've read from other people, not what I've read in the papers, is that people can have it for like 50, 60 days, something like that. And for me, obviously, it's been roughly that. My maths is not very good, but it's trying to shake this thing off. It's really tough, and it's not good.
And talk me through your symptoms. You mentioned some of them, insomnia.
Okay, well, right. Now, this is, first of all, I want to make it absolutely clear, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice. This is something I've noticed that works for me when I've had the breathlessness, which is very, very scary. Okay, I've never been waterboarded, but I imagine this is pretty much what it's like. You just can't get the air into your lungs. So being hit between your shoulder blades really hard and breathing through your nose calms the whole system down. So you get panicky if you try and breathe through your mouth, which is what natural reaction is, where you're basically panting like a dog. A thump between the shoulder blades. So I just get my girlfriend to hit me really hard between the shoulder blades, and then breathe through my nose, and then it's all calms down. But it's very, very scary. That is the worst thing about the whole thing. It's not being able to breathe. Everything else is fine. You feel bunged up, which I am right now. Whatever. Conjunctivitis, I've got drops. Fine. Not a big issue. It's the breathing. That is the scary thing.
And you've had the other symptoms. You've had loss of smell, loss of taste.
Yes, I had for like about 3 or 4 days. I couldn't taste anything at all. Just nothing. It didn't matter what I ate. It was just nothing. I could taste nothing. So I could have eaten anything, and it would make no difference. Whether it was lamb or beef or pasta with tomato, nothing. Couldn't taste anything at all.
And what about a temperature?
My temperature is odd, because I don't know why. why, but from the age of 13-ish, it's always been slightly higher than everyone else's. But I've not had, again, the short answer to the question is, I've not had a fever, and my temperature has been checked regularly. I'm naturally hot, if you see what I mean.
Right.
I'm above normal temperature. But no, it's not. I've not been off the chart like fever. And again, this is another thing about what they're punting up on the news, saying, "Oh, high fever, whatever." You can still have this thing without having a high fever. It's not standard. It affects people in different ways.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly the doctors I've spoken to on the show, that certainly seems to be the case. I mean, they say about the loss of taste and loss of smell, that applies to lots of viruses. And it's a question that sort of, so have you been officially tested and they told you you've got it?
No, I haven't. And I did when I called 111 because I didn't want to bother 999 at 4 in the morning about, I don't know, a week and a half ago. And long story short, I spoke to 4 different professionals. They upped the ante with it each time. And then they end up with a consultant calling me back. And they said, look, clearly you've got it. And I said, well, there's no point in being tested because I'm ill. I know I'm ill. And I said, first we don't have enough equipment. And there's no point in me coming in and clogging the system up. So no, officially I haven't been tested. Although I do have some comments on PPE, which I've been trying to source for the NHS from day one on this, which is the NHS procurement. I don't want to say too much because it's probably caused some problems. Has been absolutely dreadful. We've even offered free ventilators to them.
Can you give me a bit more details?
I have emails coming back saying, sorry, we've gone on holiday mid-conversation. Absolutely absurd.
So people are offering free ventilators
to the NHS, yeah.
And they turned around and said, we're on holiday.
Tiny, weeny margin on everything from hazmat gear to masks, visors, gloves, gel, and all of this stuff, incidentally, because there's been a problem with this, if you remember the Turkey issue, the government spent, I don't know how many million on buying things that weren't suitable, still had to get trashed. This is all FDA approved, CE approved, as in the European one, or TUV, which is basically the German, slightly different one.
Right.
Every single piece of kit is 100% properly approved. I mean, the surgeons can use them for heart surgery. The masks, not the cloth things, the whole 3M masks, I could source them. What does the NHS do? Nothing.
Well, you'll understand.
I'm really shocked about that.
No, we've heard other reports about people offering supplies and they've been turned down or nobody gets back to them. What we always like to do is obviously just get the evidence, and you've got all of that because history.
Yes, I've got all of it. I've got plenty of it, including the email coming back saying, "Sorry, I've gone on annual leave."
Right.
Well, someone from NHS procurement, for Christ's sake.
So what we'll do?
Crisis.
Yeah, what we'll do, Ed, let's get all of that together. Let's try and get a response from the NHS. That's only fair. And look at those specific situations. But just by way of background, Ed, because I've known you, we're friends on Facebook, and amongst the other 5,000 or 4,999, your background is pretty similar to mine. You work for a major law firm. You're a litigator, negotiator, and PR. You deal with crisis management and that sort of side.
Correct.
Talk me through how you are coping in this situation. Obviously, you've got, or you suspect that you've got the virus.
Yeah.
How's that affecting you?
To be honest, I'm very lucky. I've got a wonderful girlfriend who, she's not well either. She's exhausted, sleeps the whole time. Whereas me, I've got, as we were discussing, that the effects are different on different people. She's sleeping for England. I can't sleep at all.
Right.
So she's asleep all day. But very luckily, I think I do feel sorry for people who live alone if they've got this, because it must be really miserable if they are properly self-isolating. I mean, I've not been out of the house for, I think, the last 12 days. I've been outside. I've not gone anywhere at all, nowhere, because I don't want to take the risk.
Right.
So I think if you're with someone who's supportive, like we are of each other, it's okay. How I'd feel if I was living by myself, I don't know. Probably pretty miserable, to be honest.
And that's the thing, people forget that self-isolating, where people can't have connections or anything, must be absolutely appalling.
Precisely. So, to be honest, because she's so lovely, it's good. And
okay.
Else good, it's not good.
And talk to me, I mean, describe, and when I say describe yourself, people will say that you're more at risk if you've got underlying health conditions. How would you, are you fit and healthy other than this, or how would you describe yourself?
Look, I'm a 6'5" ex-tennis coach, retired lawyer. So, and I'm not obese. I don't have diabetes. I don't have a lung problem. You know, I'm just kind of like a normal, regular guy. And I tell you what, this has really whacked me hard. As in, it's not fun. It's not fun. But somebody's got someone to look after you. It makes it a whole lot better. But it's not fun at all.
And when you made that phone call to 111, did they give you any particular advice?
They asked a million questions, and of course, the first question they ask you is what's your postcode, because they want to know, collect data, which is fine and sensible. And anyway, they asked a million questions, and then they'd say, right, okay, now we need to pass you on a little bit higher up the food chain. Sorry to use that expression, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then eventually, after the third person, they said, right, we're going to get a consultant to call you back, which they did, to their credit. So hats off, and like everyone else, thank God for the NHS. Absolutely bloody marvellous people. So they just asked a load of questions, said, right, well, it's pretty obvious what's happened. You know, you can get tested if you want. And I said, what's the point? I'd say I'll just stay in the house until I get better. And if there's a real problem, I'll just call 999. But with the thumbs on the back, so far so good.
But there's no particular medication they recommended. Obviously, you can't have
No,
nothing at all.
No. They just basically want. I mean, it's quite understandable. They want you to stay away from, which I completely understand. You know, unless you've got a really serious problem, I don't believe in clogging up hospitals, or the doctor's surgery is mostly closed anyway. But so no, I'm just sitting it out, so to speak.
Well, the shocking thing for me,
vitamins.
Yeah, well, vitamins are good, but I mean, the shocking thing for me, Ed, is that it's gone on for so long. If you're saying February,
well, this is the thing. You see, the rubbish that comes up. Sorry to say this, but if you watch, I mean, I observe, 26 different news channels.
Yeah, you and me both. You and me both.
On my phone. But Sky, for example, and they have this thing. These are the symptoms. These are this. These are that. It's so incomplete. So, for example, if I don't feel achy and whatever, I might think, oh, well, I can go out. I'm fine. But then I find out that, conjunctivitis is one of the issues. I could go and infect someone else, just thinking, oh, well, I've just got an eye infection. They don't give the full information, and that is wrong. You know, because, like I said, I don't have any aches or pains. My girlfriend doesn't have conjunctivitis, but hey, everyone's different.
Yeah, and I think the point you make is that everybody is different. There are different symptoms for everybody.
Yeah.
That it's a myth about saying about underlying health conditions, because I know you're a fit and healthy guy normally.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also, they were saying, about children not getting it. Well, there have been 15-year-olds dying. You've had, again, no underlying anything. 15-year-old kids dying from this, and younger as well. But say, children don't seem to get it so badly. Opening up the schools. I mean, what on earth is going on? People need the facts, the full facts, not half of it.
Absolutely. I think that's the key, because there's been so much misinformation and so much, crazy conspiracy theories, which we absolutely need to get to the bottom of it, make sure where people do say things that you verify it, make sure it's evidence-based. But getting the stories out as well, because I think that's the other thing, is that media, and I've been talking to people around the world, I was speaking to LA today, we've been to Zambia, we've been to throughout Europe, haven't been to Australia. They've all approached it differently, haven't they?
They have indeed, and that's another thing that I think people are finding very confusing. Let's take Sweden, who decided, I think they went for the herd, whatever they want to call it, with one of the they got the highest infection rate in the world. I think Sweden, at the moment, it's highest in the world. And I would have expected the Swedes to be kind of cautious, but no, keep the bars open, keep the restaurants open. So it's all a bit of a muddle for everybody. Like, what is the right thing to do?
Yeah, history will judge, won't it? Because we look back, and it's not the first pandemic we've had. If you have a look at what happened in 19 in the Spanish flu, what was happening there was actually it was the second wave that killed the most people.
Well, there you go. And this is what worries me as well, because I thought I was getting better. I think that I'm probably in some second wave or something. And hopefully, eventually, when this bloody thing goes away, that's the end of it for me. And then I'll go off and tests and stuff. And if they need plasma or whatever if I can help out, then of course I will. Yeah. But I'm just staying out of the way of everybody right now.
Sure.
Just not going anywhere.
Which is the sensible thing. The other thing, I mean, you are a crisis manager. You advise people on that sort of side.
Yeah.
If you're advising the government...
the funny thing is, that I won't say too much, but I used to advise the government on crisis management.
Yeah.
The government. So, the way they're going about all this is just bizarre.
So what would you advise them? That's what I was going to ask you, Ed, because I know that's your area of expertise. They're obviously in a crisis. Everybody is in a crisis at the moment. They pick up the phone to Ed and say, okay, what's the story, Ed? What should we do?
Well, the thing is, I always try to be fair about these things. Now, this is uncharted territory. We've had, as you say, SARS and Spanish flu and whatever, so we've got some experience. However, the difficulty the government has in any country at the moment is you can shut everyone and everything down and you trash the economy. And then you'll end up with suicides because people have lost their houses, their cars, their wives, their husbands. So it's a balancing act to try and, as they keep using the expression, flatten the curve. But it's very difficult for them, because if you just shut everything down, basically we'll all go bust, because you can't do nothing. Yeah. You cannot not have businesses running. However, if they've got this wrong timing-wise, and there's a second massive hit, God help us. I mean, it's costing lives and billions. It's very, very tricky.
No, and when they talk about the health of the nation, the two are interrelated, aren't they? You have the health and the wealth. If you don't have money...
Yeah, because on the one side, you've got people dying of this bloody virus, and on the other side, you get people who will kill themselves because their businesses got screwed. There will be. It's very difficult.
No, I think. So if I appreciate it. You're not firing on all cylinders at the moment. But if I were the government, if I was Boris and I phoned you up and Ed, because you know about these things, what should I be doing?
Well, what I would say is that the reopening is we should just take on. What should have happened is there should have been a massive shutdown really early on, as in just a proper lockdown. None of this pissing around. Excuse my French. And now I would not be reopening right now. And again, if you look at even on TV, I think it's 46% of parents are not going to send their kids back to school, to primary school, because they don't trust what they've been told. So I think we should have taken it on the chin a bit longer, because we're a very productive country. It's costing a fortune, yep. But if it goes wrong on the reopening too early, then we do get screwed, not just in terms of death, but in terms of business, absolutely finished. So I would have given it a bit more time, but I'm not a doctor.
No, and they will say you take the scientific evidence. The other thing about this is about communication, and politics is about communication. So what are your views on that? How's it being communicated? How have they handled it?
I don't think it's been handled particularly well, because they haven't put all the cards on the table. They've been leaked out slowly, it's kind of like an and by the way sort of approach. What they should have done is come out and say, this is an absolute effing, excuse my French, nightmare. And these are all the symptoms. This is what we have to do. It's going to be really painful, rather than trying to sell a little bit of good news along with it. Just say, this is going to be an absolute awful for all of us. So just basically suck it up.
To just be straightforward and yeah.
Absolutely, precisely.
Tell us how it is. No sugarcoating.
If I asked you to list what the new rules are today,
yeah,
would you be able to tell me in any
well,
detail?
I only because I study it quite well, but the reality is it's terribly confusing. And when we start off with, I've spoken to many people about this, we start off with a stay at home. You understand that message. You say stay alert. What's that about? You then get this thing about
ridiculous.
Crazy. It's marketing spin, isn't it? It's just rubbish.
Of course. Now, if I said to you, for example, if you, when say, I can't remember what new rule is, you can meet people from another family.
Yeah, you've got 6 people.
So
6 people.
And then you think, oh, you know what? I'd like to go meet another family in the afternoon. Yeah. Are you allowed to? Or if you just have it, you want once a day?
And all those. And the trouble is, and this is what they should try and do. Yeah, what they should try and do is when you're selling any message, is to explain why it is, and it really is simple, so that they can track. If you happen to get any of the symptoms, as you say, they vary from people to people, you should be able to track the other people that you were with. So they're trying to limit that. That's my understanding. But the message is not clear, and I think that's the problem.
Well, so, you know, the simple point is that probably, and I don't sound arrogant, that people like you and I are probably in the top 1% of the educated population. Now, people who don't watch news or read things or understand things necessarily, they're going to be thinking, well, I can see one family now, I can leave it now and go to another one, have a barbecue with someone else later on, go to the beach because, as long as I stay X feet away. It's rubbish. The instructions need to be crystal simple, clear.
And the problem as well, though, Ed, is that you then show the news reports, which show the parks with lots of people having picnics. You see the beaches with lots of people, and you say, well, hang on, I should be there.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And the other thing as well, if you're talking about messages, and I'm sure you've got a view, and I know what your view will be, but Mr. Cummings and going up to all the comings and goings all the way to Durham, what are your views on that?
Yeah, well, the problem with that is his story. It's just, you'd have to be a cretin to believe it about the eyesight and all the rest of it. I'm sorry, but that's my opinion.
No, but I think that the trouble is this, is that he's a really bright guy, Dominic Cummings, really bright. Yeah. He knows about media. We saw that fantastic dramatization, and a lot of it's the truth because we know about the Sultans of Spin and what happened about Brexit and the power of data and how you can look for the people who are yet to be swayed. You get those who are never going to change their opinions, so don't bother about them. But the ones who are going to be swayed, this is how you do it. He knows how people are going to react to certain situations. So he would have known when he set off on that journey, somebody's going to find out, and this is what I've got to say to them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you had it all planned out. I just think the story that's come out afterwards is excuse. I think that the bottom line is I don't like being treated like a moron. So when I hear someone spinning a story on the TV, which is just so ludicrous, I get annoyed. So
again, as a crisis manager, if you like, Boris makes that call. What should he have done to Dominic?
What should Boris have done to him?
Yeah.
He should have made him be absolutely straight with everyone and apologise, saying massive error, and then wait and see for a day or two. And if people are still getting really upset about it, fire him and then have him unofficially, on the phone, because obviously they get on well and he does his stuff.
And he's a phenomenal advisor. He's a phenomenal advisor, and I get why Boris wants him. I absolutely see that. The trouble is when Nicola Sturgeon, it's political gold to the opposition, isn't it? And Nicola Sturgeon can say, well, this is what I did in a similar situation. Everybody else can turn around and say it's very, very difficult for him to justify, isn't it?
No, precisely. I mean, as I say, what you do is, if you get caught with your trousers down like that, you should put his hand up and say, you know what, it was a terrible decision. I'm so sorry. And then wait and see if people say, well, okay, maybe I would have done that myself, in all truth. And then if that doesn't work, just being honest about it, and people say, oh, well, you know what, it's a dumb thing to do, then yeah, Boris should fire him. You can still use him. which is officially for him.
Yeah, I know. So, as I say, he's an invaluable member of the team, and I totally get it. But
Yeah.
I also understand that Dominic, he's a bright man, very bright, and he will know what was going to happen, and he would have worked it out in his head. And of course, we don't know all the circumstances. Other than we have all sorts of special reasons. Don't need to go into them necessarily, other than to be aware that people are losing people. They can't go to funerals, and I've had people on the show talking about that. They've lost loved ones. They're in lockdown as you are, and they see on the headlines a person drives hundreds of miles, goes to what seems to be a sightseeing trip, and they don't buy it.
No, I mean, it's the same. In those kind of situations where it's gone really badly wrong, if you put your hand up and say, I'm so sorry, I did it because Wizard of Oz, whatever the reason is. And people say, well, at least they're being honest. And then hopefully it blows over. And if it doesn't, he gets fired, but he can still be hired.
And still behind the scenes on that sort of basis. Now, I know you're not feeling well, Ed. I won't delay you too long, but you are going to be regular. We're going to keep checking in with you, and we'll get you on screen next time, because at the moment you're not looking your finest, is what you told me.
Next time. Yeah. Okay.
You stay safe, stay well, and stay alert.
Indeed.
Stay alert, yes?
Stay alert. Whatever that means.
We'll speak next time. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care.
Take care, Ed. Bye-bye.
That's my boxer.
So that was Ed Hood, who's a litigator, negotiator, PR, and crisis management expert. He knows his onions. It's all about the message. It's also a question of questioning everything. I think the reality is the truth lies somewhere between all these things. What was alarming for me is that he's had this since February. That's weeks and weeks and weeks ago. What is clear, and we've heard from the experts, is that symptoms do vary depending on people. If you'd like to share your experiences, do write to me, Andrew Eborn, at lol, that's LOL, at octopustv.com. We will try to balance everything, because that is key. Everything should be evidence-based. Let's talk to the experts. Let's listen to that sort of expertise, but just be safe out there. It's really, really troubling times. If you want to be involved at all, do get in touch and make sure you seek the right advice. But for now, I've been Andrew Eborn. Thank you very much for joining me. Take care.